What's going on, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood gamer, PTK BLAM, back with another episode of the Shop Podcast. We are now live. It is Saturday afternoon, and I am feeling good. So we got some people rolling in. Matter of fact, one just rolled in right now. So we got some great topics going today. As you guys know, I always like to just start with I appreciate everybody that continues to support the podcast, everybody that shows up live every Saturday to watch what we got to talk about, every guest that's on here, every comment you leave, and every follow on the actual Twitter. So thank you guys for the continued support, and I'm going to keep putting these videos out and doing what I do to provide real facts and real news. So I'm going to go ahead and get to my guests here in a second. We do have some people that may be rolling in a little bit late, so you guys bear with me. They do have the link. They will be in here if they can be, and it's going to be lit as fuck. So keep it locked. Share the link. So I'm going to start with my first guest. He's been on the show now for a few episodes now. Me and him been rocking out, playing some Darwin Project. Matter of fact, we had just got off that before we started this. So shout yourself out, Fuzzy Belvedere.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Fuzzy Belvedere here on the Shop Podcast. Looking to talk about some games and discuss the latest news on the industry.
Let's get it, man. So I feel good today. So I don't know if he's gonna reply, but my boy Jarhead is over there. I think he's on baby duty tonight, everybody. So he may be in and out of the podcast. So you know how that goes. So you there, Jar?
Yeah, I'm here, but you hear the daddy daycare, man. So I apologize in advance if I have to mute or you hear all kinds of crazy stuff. And believe it or not, that's just one kid. So so I will do my best to keep up, but for the most part, I may be muted. But I'm glad to be here as always. You know, talk games, no drama, just good old discussions.
Nice. Let's get it. So thank you for being here, man. I know you told me about that earlier, bro, and I know you were like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. So I appreciate you making that stretch to do it with the baby, brother. That is fucking awesome, man. You deserve a super big reward for that when your wife gets back, man. So
she knows. She knows.
I put in a good word for you, brother. I'll send you an email or something, man, a follow up, a review or something, or Yelp maybe or something.
Daycare.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go ahead and dive in, everybody, man. Once again, if you guys are here, your first time here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop a comment below, share with your friends, man. It is live. It's Saturday, man. I feel good today. My kids and my wife are all down in the pool. I am chilling. Share that link, everybody, so we can get this thing packed out. There's a bunch of people in here talking games, having fun. If you're leaving somebody's podcast, show up here, bring everybody with you that left the podcast. So let's go ahead and get started, man. We're gonna start with something that just came up fairly recently. This article just dropped, I think yesterday. I saw it. And I think it was Windows Central. Shout out Jez, Windows Central. They always on top of the newest Xbox news. Facts. That's facts, by the way. So Satya Nadella pretty much put out a statement to the media saying, hey, we're doubling down on Xbox for now and the future. So I wanted to get you guys' opinions on that because we've known throughout this generation that a lot of the Sony side, a lot of the other side of the fence have always said, well, what is Xbox doing, especially this generation, because Sony has such a huge lead as far as sales go, as far as overall hardware consoles go, and just overall, just they have the benefit of the doubt. They're the industry leader as far as sales. So what do you guys think this says about Microsoft doubling down on Xbox and Xbox's place in the gaming industry? So I'm gonna start with you, Fuzzy. What do you think that says about it?
I think they're now in it to win it, and I'm so glad Terry Myerson is gone now, and that the purse strings have been kind of let loose. But it can only mean better things for us gamers. I mean, more games. I mean, more studios means more games, and I'm interested to see what other hardware they have in store for us for down the road. But
so you don't think that move, that studio acquisition move, would have been made if Myerson was still there?
Gut kind of tells me I don't think that would have been the case if he was still there. But it looks like with the change of having Phil as like their VP for that division, I think that was the clear sign that, you know, Satya got it as far as talking with Phil and how important investing in the gaming or spending more money towards it and how they'll be able to get return on their investment. More people bought that, you know, Xbox One S over the Prime Day holiday or Prime Day sale. So if they keep on making moves like this, where they either open up more studios or spend more as far as like they're talking about now, some more studios or games that they're working on, that can only be, better for us gamers and for those that were on the fence as far as going with Xbox. So it's definitely a good sign.
Oh yeah, it's especially, I mean, hearing it from the horse's mouth himself, the head honcho, that says a lot. That says more than a lot, because as you know, like I just said, throughout this entire generation, because Sony has this, huge lead as far as overall console sales, that like that's been the big thing that's been hung on Microsoft's head. So I've been very interesting to see that they would definitely double down on that, and it really shows how important that slice of the pie is when they sit down and they have them big, huge board meetings, and Phil comes to the table. Satya really listens, because that's a huge, important part of Microsoft as a company in their future. So that's pretty much what he's saying by saying, you know what, we're gonna give them the bag. We're gonna give Phil a little, like you said, open the purse strings a little bit. Move this thing forward. We're gonna stay on the cutting edge. So I want to throw that same question to you, Jar, if you do have time to answer it, brother. So what do you think that says about Xbox, man?
Well, I mean, Fuzzy pretty much touched on every point, but it shows you that they're not playing around. I remember when Phil first took over, this is a few years back, he was very clear about it. Somebody interviewed him, I think it was GameSpot, somebody, and he made a statement because, obviously they kept rubbing in, well, Sony got such a big lead, blah, blah, blah. He basically said, hey, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's starting to show, I'm going to steal this motto from the 76ers, trust the process. It makes sense. Like, they're in it for a long haul. Like, first of all, you can tell the deep pockets, and it shows. And the proof is in the numbers. I mean, the Xbox division alone in a quarter makes almost as much money that some companies make in a year or more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it shows the commitment, and that's a good thing for everybody. Whether you like Microsoft, hate them, whatever. That's whatever. Fuck the console wars. This is numbers. This is for the industry. It shows that all of the investments in Havoc, Mixer. Remember when people used to make fun that they bought Mixer, and look what Mixer is turning into. Whether people want to admit it or not, Mixer is fucking great, and they're taking numbers from Twitch, whether people want to admit it or not. And that is a big gamble, and I think is a great to have competition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? So it's good to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I just think that, I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, if you're in a position that, some naysayers say, some armchair devs say, as far as where Microsoft stands, where Xbox stands, if you're in that position, you don't go out and you're in this down position where we're not making any money. They're killing us over there as far as sales. You don't go out and just open up a brand new quadruple A, triple A studio in the middle of Santa Monica and they say, you know what? I think we got enough in the bag left for about 4 more. Like, I think we got enough left. So that's not a move you make if you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Not many companies.
Or if you're not a priority. If you're not a priority on
not many companies will double down like that. You know what I mean? But not like Fuzzy said. I don't want to mispronounce his name. I'll butcher it. But the CEO of Microsoft, he sees, but this dude is like the best thing that happened to Microsoft in a very long time. I know there's a lot of people, YouTubers, certain people that like the quote unquote aggressiveness of that bald headed bastard that owns the Clippers, that loudmouth dude.
Yeah, Steve Ballmer.
Never care for him. Like that whole rah bullshit while he's, filling his pockets with money. Like, to me, that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I like this dude. This dude's like a silent killer, man. Like, this dude, he said he'll snipe you from afar. I like his style because he's nice and quiet and nice, but he'll fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Satya he's kind of a hands-off kind of guy. He just kind of, he's very in tune with what's going on. So I think he's always seen the vision. And I think when they first brought Phil in, that was part of his entire, situation. That was part of his plan. He knew, okay, Phil was going to take the ship as long as we can get the right guy in here, and him making that move to get Phil in there and then upgrading Phil's position thus further, to an even higher place in the division in that particular part of the business structure. It just says a lot about what's going on there and how much faith he has in the brand. So that's always good, everybody. So all you naysayers out there, that pretty much puts a bullet in your ass. You're looking like Ricky from Boys in the Hood running down the alley. So
I
that
don't
is,
think many people got that reference.
yeah,
But
they don't got that reference, man. That's a little bit out of your age range, man. But anyway, let's just dive back in. So if you just joining us one more time, man, we are in here talking games, man. Share the link to the podcast, man. We trying to get this lit in here, man. Go ahead and talk in the chat, guys. I just always drop questions in there. I want you guys' feedbacks if you're listening. Jump in the chat here on YouTube, man. Talk and mix it up, man. I love to get the chat going. It always helps the show move along nice and smooth. So let's keep bringing the heat here. So the next question we have is, I initially put the question out there as one thing, but I think I kind of changed it. Me and Fuzzy were talking about this kind of pre-show. With the acquisition, the current acquisition of Ninja Theory and Ninja Theory's idea of what they could do with the AA game, and that AA's mattered, and that those types of games have their own space. They really matter, and those lanes can be expanded on. Look at, Hellblade, where that game now, essentially it did so well as a AA, and it was so handcrafted and done so great with the small budget, well, relatively small budget, with an extremely small team of 20 people, and it came out AAA quality, has now landed them as a first-party studio with Microsoft with almost unlimited resources as far as, tech, budget, not unlimited, obviously, but tech, budget. I mean, it opens up like everything for them. It's a whole new situation. So what do you guys think? I'm going to start with you, Fuzzy, about that. What do you think? Do AAA games have their own lane? Is that something that we can see more of these middle range studios doing?
I think so. There's enough room for the AA and the AAA games out there in things like Game Pass, particularly on the Microsoft front. Something like Hellblade was kind of like a hidden gem or a surprise to most people, considering that, like you said, they didn't spend much to make that game, yet it came across like one that would have been in development for over 5 years and have like a 60 or $70 million budget. I mean, it was a little on the short side, I guess, compared to quite a few other AAA games, but the quality of the game, the gameplay, the story behind it was definitely up there. And I think if more AA or smaller studios can, put, I guess, that type of passion to making their game, yeah, there's definitely a lane for both.
So what games are out now? Because AA is always kind of quirky, because some people don't even classify it as AA. Some people look at it as far as sales, AA, AAA. Is it quality, AA, AAA? Like, so how do you qualify AA?
I usually qualify it more so just on the budget that it takes to make it. I mean, I think that's more of the standard, where if there's not as many marketing dollars behind it to advertise it, or not as many dollars to make it, I'm under the impression that's more of where things kind of fall into the AA realm, kind of like your the indie game that EA published, A Way Out. I would say that's more of like a AA, where it's a smaller studio. Yeah, they're getting the big guys to publish them, but it's nowhere near as much money put at it.
So would Ori be a AA? Would you consider Ori a AA?
I would consider Ori a AA, but it's got the visuals and the gameplay aspects of a AAA, but I don't feel like Microsoft pushes it as much as they probably could. They push Cuphead a decent amount, but it didn't seem like they pushed Cuphead as much as they did Sea of Thieves, for example. So
Sea of Thieves is taken off, essentially. Sea of Thieves is done phenomenally for Rare and Xbox.
Yeah. So it almost seems like, from, at least when it comes to Microsoft, a lot of what would normally be games that could have been pushed to a AAA type of, either advertising or budget to produce, they may not have gotten the full financing, but it seems like that's going to be a thing of the past for at least their first party stuff. But some new games coming out, I'm pretty sure they're going to have ones that are maybe a little bit shorter time frame. So instead of it being like 80 hours to complete, something that you can complete in like 20 hours, and that would be a good, Game Pass game for, like 2 months worth, or something that would be like an in-between from like some of their bigger ones. Like, I'm kind of surprised they're not doing, well, I understand why they're not doing a Forza 8 like within the next year, but I'm pretty sure they could, almost do like add-ons and things like that would kind of be like that filler in between the bigger years when they do the full blown game. But
Yeah.
there's definitely room for it.
Yeah. Okay. And I was talking to the chat here. Sea of Thieves is kind of a special situation because Sea of Thieves has built a community, and it's and the type of game it is those games stand on the community that they build. So and that community has been really, really, really strong since the game came out. So somebody in the chat was like, Sea of Thieves would be a AAA with the budget spread out long term, which is a good, I think, synopsis of what Sea of Thieves is. It is really a AAA game. If they took it and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna make this a single player story driven game," it would be a AAA game. But they spread it out as an open world game. Not as it's still has I think the budget's still there, but I would agree with that. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to you, Jarhead. What do you think about that, man? Do you think AA's have their place?
Absolutely. I mean, even though I'm not a fan of categorizing games, and the reason, I mean, obviously, I'm not in the industry. Most of us are not, and I get it. I know why. People categorize in AA, AAA, depending on how big or small the game is. Personally, I don't, because a game like Ori, which is a great point, to me, that game is more amazing as far as graphics and the way that the atmosphere, everything looks, than a hyper realistic game. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that art style, that technology, the way they make this. So as far as the AAA, AA game games, I can care less about that. A game is a game. To me, a AAA game or an amazing game is up to the person that's enjoying the game. Because someone can come and tell me, oh, I can go and scream out their face, God of War is the greatest shit since sliced bread, but they'd be like, yeah, but I prefer Cuphead. I think Cuphead is, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But to answer your question, yes. Why the hell not? Besides Ninja Theory, let's look at Compulsion Games. Dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
they
true.
Started off as a freaking GoFundMe account for that game, for We Happy Few. And it turned into a point that they got enough money for that. It went into preview program, got a good reaction despite, a lot of complaints. Oh, that's it. It's like, okay, it's preview. They tell you that the game was not finished. Then they got a partnership with Gearbox Publishing, and they got a full-fledged game. Now they're part of Microsoft. Like, that is the best example.
I didn't know Gearbox partnership with them.
Yeah, they're publishing the game. That's why it's coming out to PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
They're publishing Gearbox. Yeah, they got some Borderlands. They do publishing. They be doing little here and there, so they dipping their toes in. They did the same for that Earthfall game too. They're publishing that one, so they're helping out, as you say, AA studios, which is great. Because
you played that Earthfall yet?
Not me, but there's a lot of mixed reviews. Some people say, "Oh, it's bland" and stuff. A lot of people say it's fun. To me, it looks good. It's just, I'm trying to be a good boy, man. Even in this sale, I literally only bought inside because it was $10. Yeah. I'm trying to stop that habit, man. I be buying a crap load of games and I don't touch them, so I'm trying to put a dent in my my backlog so I could go trade in games and get some stuff coming up in a couple of months.
I feel you on that, man. Shit, got to do the same thing around here, man. Got to keep the wallet closed, brother, for sure.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to be good. I bought inside because it was $10.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that is the second topic, guys. So once again, we may have a couple guys trailing in a little bit late. If they do get a chance to stop in, I will introduce them as they fall through. So once again, share the link. Bring everybody that you could possibly bring in here, man. Let's get this chat lit. Let's get this video hype, man. So let's go ahead and keep moving on. So what I want to talk about next is that this is something that me and Jarhead talked about like 2.5 weeks ago, and we never really got around to talk about it, but I think it's something that we should discuss. You guys like to know, I like to talk a little off cuff here. Oh, speaking of people popping up, we got Invader Gaming, everybody. So what's up, Invader? How you doing, brother?
Hey there, Blam. How's it going?
Chilling, man. Chilling. How you doing? I'm glad you popped in here, man. You about halfway through, brother. Glad you jumped in.
Yeah, thanks. I was just in the middle of something. No, thanks for inviting me on. Big fan of the podcast, obviously, and oh man, you got a lot of great people in the community on the show. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Let's get it, man. You know how we do, man. If you guys don't know, Invader is a super awesome guy. He's always supported the channel, man. one of the first people, subscribed to me. Probably one of the first people I hit up on Twitter, and we've always been cordial ever since, man. But he's doing his thing now, man. I called him the guy with the fucking perfect like radio voice. He makes me sound terrible.
You're too
For
kind.
sure. No, it's good though, man. But let's have some fun, man. So what I was getting into next was that something, since you're jumping in late, Invader, something that me and Jarhead has been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and we hadn't really gotten around to doing it on the show. So I want to talk about it a little bit today, and that's developers not bringing their games to Xbox due to like an assumption. Like, and really this is more so aimed at, because me and Jarhead had a conversation about Japanese developers and why they've been so apprehensive to bring games over. Just due to the assumption that, hey, it's not going to do well. So what do you feel about that? Do you think that's something that's going to continue? I mean, if we kind of look at this last E3 as any indication, that is not the case. There was a ton of, Japanese developers on stage. I mean, you had, Kingdom Hearts, you had all these, oh, good luck, Black Desert Online, all these other games. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if From Software is a Japanese, I don't think they are, but they did that that game that's more of like Japanese oriented. But how do you feel? If you think that trend is going to continue, or you think that is something that is going to be changing?
I think that it's slowly changing, and you can definitely see it over not just this E3 conference, but even the last one. They also had a few highlights of Japanese developers as well on their stage. This year, definitely a big boost to Kingdom Hearts. What else? Jump Force was a real surprise.
Yeah, that was a huge surprise. Yeah.
And and of course, Nier. I know it was on the PlayStation for a year, but still, that's it's a pretty big game. So no, and I think it'll be a slow trend. A lot of people forget in the first few, like, let's say 4 years of the Xbox 360, there was a lot of Japanese support.
Oh yeah,
even if you look at some of the most memorable titles, they were Japanese. Even if they didn't sell all that great, or Microsoft didn't push them as much as or marketed them as they should have. I think of Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, and there's a few others. It's just it's been really hit or miss for them.
Yeah,
and that in their marketing, and I don't know. It just I think it's gonna be a slow trend continuing, that there's gonna be more Japanese game on the store, and that's a good thing. The diversity in the game genres, it's a good thing for everybody. Why not, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I the only issue with that, and like you said, it's gonna be a slow grind just due to the fact that like it's so the Xbox just doesn't do well in Japan. The brand, it just doesn't do well overall. It doesn't fit what they do there and how they enjoy playing video games. It has a small market over there. And so that makes developers apprehensive. But I mean, I think going forward, I think the relationship Phil has been built over there. He went over there a bunch of times last year. I remember Aaron tweeting out he had been over there a few times last year. So they went over there and they actually went to work. That kind of shows that they got really they got roots over there in Japan. They do have roots there.
Well,
they do have a lot of people.
They got to break the perception. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. So that's going to be tough, but I think they got the right direction. I think we've seen more Japanese games on their stage than we did on Sony's, which is odd as far as like the people that showed their game world premieres may not be exclusive, but as far as like world premieres and the type of studios that were there is pretty crazy. That they had that much support. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this to you also, Jar. If I didn't get you already about this one, did I go over this with you already, Jar?
No, but I was listening.
Okay.
I was
So,
around my 2-year-old.
So do it.
No, same thing. What Invader says is that it's definitely an uphill battle, but it's good to see the initiative and the feedback, because it's also showing that the Japanese developers don't necessarily, quote unquote. I know, Papa. I know. Hi. Go. Bye. Sorry. It shows that the Japanese developers, quote unquote, don't hate Microsoft like, again, a lot of the usual suspects like to perceive. It's a business. But it's good to see that they're getting positive feedback, and it's starting to show, like you said, all those world premieres, they're not exclusives. Doesn't matter. As long as they make it to the platform, because like you and I were speaking about, my biggest gripe is like, wait a minute. that game is on PC. PC is pretty much Xbox. If you're making it for PC, you can easily make it. You know what I mean? I don't have to be a developer to have the common sense. Like, my man, the code is pretty much the same. You know what I mean? So a lot of, and I remember that was a conversation on Twitter. There's no reason for a lot of these games that are not under an exclusive deal with Sony not to make it. And I would love to be behind the doors as to why, especially in the US. I get it, not in Japan, but like in the US and the UK, like, it's huge markets. It's like you're leaving money on the table. Look at Nier. Nier is still the top, still one of the top paid games on the Xbox Live Store.
Yeah.
So hopefully, more developers are taking notes. And again, I understand if there's an exclusive deal, good for them, high five. But if there isn't, and you're just not bringing the game because, then don't be upset when you do decide to bring a game 5 years later and nobody buys it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Japan is kind of a weird area for Xbox, man. It's always been kind of, like you said, even the OG Xbox had a ton of Japanese support. That first Xbox, then early on in that 360 days, like you said, Blue Dragon was a launch game. It was a launch title. It came out with the Xbox the 360 when it launched.
Wish we had a sequel for that, man.
Man, that game was so great. God, the water in that game was excellent. Anyway, so so I wanted to do this one question over again to you, Invader, because I know you didn't get a chance to answer it. So, what do you think about Satya Nadella pretty much coming out and saying, "Hey, we're doubling down on Xbox for the near future. It's not going anywhere." Pretty much putting a stamp on it, saying this brand is here to stay, and this is a big part of the company and what we're going to be doing moving forward. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a confidence thing. It's really promoting their confidence and promoting the brand. A lot of people had been down about it the past year, and now, hey, they're spending money, they're buying studios, they're investing in studios, they're investing in games, and they're just doubling, tripling down on that message. They're trying to get the messaging down that, hey, we're here for making video games, and we're not leaving anytime soon. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. I mean, it did say that, pretty much put a stamp on it. So I think
pretty clear. I think, yeah.
It's and it's to the naysayers essentially who would think otherwise. So let's keep moving forward here. And I always like to throw a fun question in. If you guys have been watching this show, once again, if you're new and you're watching here for the first time, subscribe. Drop a like on the video also too. Appreciate that. Thank you. But moving forward, I always like to throw a nice, funny question in here, something that I kind of do off the cuff, man. So I want you guys to give me, each of you, 2 games that are in your backlog right now that you really were like, maybe not necessarily hyped to buy, but you really had a genuine interest in playing, but you have neglected them thus far, which means you either have less than 4 or 5 hours in the game or you haven't played it at all. Okay, so 2 games in your backlog right now that you were like, man, this game is going to be interesting. I can't wait to dive in, and you fucking completely neglected it. So I'm going to start with you, Fuzzy. Is there 2 games in your backlog right now?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton more than that, but the 2 top ones that come to mind right now are Shadow of War. Didn't get a chance to play Shadow of Mordor, but Shadow of War looked real interesting. I wanted to give it a try. Despite the the nonsense about the microtransactions and loot boxes and stuff like that, I didn't really care. But I wanted to at least give that game a try. Bought it day one, and I think I've only did the download of the DLC and the update. I haven't even started. Another one that's up there, and it's one that I think I started before they did the complete edition or the enhanced edition, is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Or not Shadow, whatever the not the one that's coming out, the one before that. I think that's Shadow of Tomb Raider.
Rise of the Tomb Raider?
Rise of the Tomb Raider. That one, it's sitting on my backlog list and haven't really started it. Just basically downloaded it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's an enhanced game now, great. And I'll eventually get to it. I kind of bumped both of those games out the way for Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty World War II. But I will eventually get to them.
Okay. All right, moving on to you, Invader. You got 2 games in your backlog right now that you had a great interest in. you're hyped to play them, and you have not even touched them and or played much of the game yet?
Okay, that's pretty easy. So I've had Prey, the reboot of Prey, since it launched. I pre-ordered it, and so it's been out for what, a year and a half, something like that. And I played it for a couple hours. I remember streaming it, and I just have yet to touch it again. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because other games have come out, and just the backlog's been building up. Games that I've been more hyped up about, but I don't know. Just the game never really, like, I still have it. I still want to play it. It's just at the same time, it didn't grab me as much as I thought it would, whether it be the gameplay mechanics and whatever it may be. So yeah, that's still sitting there. I'll eventually get to that.
Okay.
And another game that I've been sitting on, well, for a couple of months anyways, is Just Cause 3. I'm actually really excited to play that game. It looks like a lot of fun. I got all the DLC for it, the complete package. It's definitely up my alley for the destruction and the open world. But I'm just slowly going through the backlog. Right now I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it's kind of a slow going RPG. So just slowly eating away at that backlog. But yeah, definitely those two games in particular, for sure.
That's funny. That's very interesting how we all have those games that we were really, really hyped for. We got them, and, and then we get into them, and just for whatever reason, we don't go back. I think every gamer, no matter what platform you're on, probably has at least 2 or 3 games that they're like, fuck it. I look at these games like, I have either physical, which I don't do physical anymore. I do all digital now. But, I had physical before. I look at the cases, and I look through and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I forgot I had this game. It's just crazy. Yeah. But you, Jarhead, is there anything like that for you? I know there is for you, Jarhead. I know for sure. And I know one of them, too. I know one of them for sure. I hope you say it. But is there 2 games for you?
Oh, dude, there's a number of games. But the ones that kind of give me that look of shame every time I turn my Xbox on is Assassin's Creed Origins, dog. I haven't even started that. And and South Park. Like that.
Oh, wow.
That they look at me, man, and I turn away. I feel bad because, dude, like I just installed Assassin's Creed. I never even booted it up. All I did was install it, and then I moved on to other stuff for whatever reason. But that's why I haven't bought any games. I haven't even pre-ordered anything. I'm working on my backlog, trying to be a good boy. But yeah, those two make me feel the worst, especially Assassin's Creed. Because that's my shit.
Yeah, no, I know how hype you was about that Assassin's Creed. That shit was so. For me, I got a couple. Some, so Just Cause 3 was one of them. By the way, Invader. Just Cause 3 was one of them. I've had that game day one and have all the DLC just like you, and I've played maybe 2 hours of it. If that, like maybe 2 hours of it. I maybe cleared one little area and did some, killed myself about 50 times trying to figure out the hang glider feature or whatever. Besides that, I haven't done much with that game, and I was really, really happy about getting it because I was, watching a lot of YouTube. I would see a lot of little funny montages from that game. And it looks super cool, and I'm like, I can't wait till I get it. So I finally got it day one, and just have not really got into it like I thought I would. So that's one. The other one, this is, I want to say old, but it's not a new game, but it's a game that has been gotten rave reviews from everybody that I know that bought it and beat it. Fucking Doom. Now, a lot of people I know have had that game, beat it. A lot of people don't play the multiplayer, even though I do enjoy the multiplayer. My son plays it every now and then. But the game, I've heard nothing bad about it. Everybody that I know that bought it, that beat it, loved it. Said it was fantastic. Enjoyed the game a lot. Didn't have anything bad to say about it. But for whatever reason, for me, I've beaten maybe, maybe 20% of the game, 15, 20%, somewhere around there. So I feel guilty about because my son asked me like 2 days ago, "Damn, why don't you play Doom?" I'm like, "Oh, it hurts." I felt like Jar, like, "Oh, it hurts, man. Don't talk about it. I don't want to even bring it up." That's like a sore spot for me. You know what I'm saying? So those are 2 games for me that just for whatever reason I can't get around to playing them. Even if I do have the time, so they don't pop up in my head to play him. So yeah, and that once again, guys, any question I ask here to the panel is for also for the chats. You guys let me know what's going on with you guys as far as what we're talking about here. So I don't know. There's a couple other things that I wanted to talk about too. That were kind of on a smaller note here. That I've been kind of just rolling around in my head. Now I'm going to be doing a solo video about this, and we touched on this on the Boomstick podcast also Friday morning. Shout out to the boy Boomstick. If you guys don't know, he is a fantastic YouTuber. Go follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his channel. And Invader was also there that morning, and we talked about this whole Fortnite, this whole battle royale situation, and those comments to the Halo, the Halo developer about, is they going to include a battle royale? Now, I want to kind of elaborate on that battle royale question and kind of pose a question to you guys about: is that something that are we at the point to where it's okay, this is enough, or are we still is on the up and up? So, Invader, I'm gonna throw that to you first, Invader, because I feel like you got something interesting to say about that.
It's funny. Well, I had made a few comments about this on the Game Dosage cast as well a few days ago, and here's the thing: like some games suit the battle royale genre, some will and some don't. I feel that something like Halo, it's better doing its own thing. It's better when a game like Halo, it tries to create its own experiences, that something that it's going to get recognized for, something memorable. If you're just borrowing from another genre, it's not going to do anything for you, or not too many players are going to even stick around. Your hardcore base isn't going to stick around for the most part. Like, take for example Halo 4. They borrowed some elements for the multiplayer from Call of Duty, and a lot of people didn't like that. And then they went back to some familiar things in Halo 5. They took out loadouts, I think, and a few other things, but they're still experimenting, and they created their own thing, Warzone, for example, and Warzone Firefight, and they got a lot of accolades for that. It's something different, and it fits the Halo universe. So, to sum it all up, I don't think all franchises need to adapt a battle royale format. I think it's going to eventually burst if it hasn't already, and game franchises should just do their own thing.
Yeah. So I feel like, I feel like, and I've always kind of told people about this too, that I've talked to casually or just here on the podcast or whatever. But I feel like the whole battle royale thing I feel like it's like those .com crazes in like the early 90s. I don't know if you guys are my age or whatever, but when they had all those .com companies booming, everybody was, investing in these companies and these super huge startups making a lot of money, and then a year later, boom, everybody, kind of went under and crashed. So I don't know if it's going to be as bad as that. I don't want to put too much weight on it like that. But I just think that there's, like you said, there's a time and a place for everything. I think Fortnite's going to eat because it's become it. Would you guys agree with that? Fortnite is this generation's Minecraft. Would you guys agree to that?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree to that statement? Okay. Is that
weird though?
I would. Well, popularity wise, unfortunately, this same time in Minecraft life cycle, Minecraft didn't have the hype this crap has, man. Like, they got athletes dancing, doing the fucking emojis to that shit.
Well, you got to remember too, we're at a different day and age. It's 2018.
Exactly, and that's the reason.
A lot more social media.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm chiming in on the previous subject. I gotta get this out of my system. Halo, like it or hate it, love it, I don't give a fuck. Halo is royalty. I need to put that out there, and I'll argue with this shit with anybody. Halo does not need battle royale. Halo is fucking Halo. Even their biggest Sony fans or Nintendo know what the fuck Halo is, whether they want to admit it in public is not. So I'm glad Halo, basically that guy from 343 said, no, we don't want that trash. I love that shit. That should be a shirt. You know what I mean? Because I'm tired of, again, good for Fortnite. I personally cannot get into the game. I tried it once. I'm not going to lie. I can't. That shit looks like unicorn vomit to me. And I can't do it. I have PUBG. Haven't played it yet because I'm waiting for the achievements to kick in. But I bought it just to support it. Eventually I'll play it. But I'm tired of battle royale. Honestly, man, like that shit is. I'm over it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's for Halo. I mean, strictly speaking, in that case, man, I don't think it fits what Halo embodies. You know what I'm saying, and what it's
Exactly.
trying to be. You know what I'm saying. So Halo, no, like I said, Fortnite, but I would definitely say it's this generation's Minecraft. Obviously, when Minecraft blew up, it wasn't social media wasn't what it is now.
No.
You know, that's in just about every aspect. You see it in movies, you see it with, you know, music, you see, you know, we always in sports essentially, you know, what if, you know, there was an Instagram when Michael Jordan played, how would people view him? You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. We always have those kinds of things going on. So social media is a huge aspect to that. But other than that, guys, I think I did have one more question that I did want to bring up here. Let me just pull it up, guys. And once again, guys, subscribe to the channel. If you have not, man, got a lot of cool people in here right now. Shout out to a couple of people here. We got Z Black Rider. We got, you know, UK Daz. My boy is always hanging out. You know, we got a few Venoms in here. We got a few other people in here. Shout out to everybody watching this WDFC podcast. You guys are amazing. So, let's see. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to ask you, Invader, that I may have missed? Oh, I didn't get to ask you about the AA. About how do you feel about the AA market? Is that going to be is that a thing to stay, or you think that AA market is just, I want to say a trend? When I mean AA, I mean things like, you know, Hellblade, you know, in those same vein. Do you think that there's a lane for that?
Is this about the Microsoft comments about them maybe looking to get more like AA studios, or?
No, I didn't even see. You can throw that in because I was unaware that they made a comment about that. So you
Well,
can include
something
that.
like that. So
Okay.
sorry, what was the question again? Like,
So the question was AA games. Do they fit, or is there room for AA games? I mean,
oh yeah,
there's this widening divide now. They're kind of trending where you had your Call of Duties and you had everything else. You know what I'm saying? So there seems to be more of a gray area now. So,
well, you know what? The thing is, a lot of studios are getting better. A lot of you know, indies are pumping out a lot of quality stuff now. Yeah, I do feel that there's always going to be a need for these AA smaller budget studios for the smaller budget games, because those are the games that, like you had mentioned, Hellblade. Those are the games that tend to do different stuff. They don't do the Call of Duties, the big action games. They don't do like the big sports games, but they do trial and error. They do the games that nobody else will not fund usually.
yeah.
They'll do the games like, again, for example, a Cuphead. Even though I know Microsoft got a little bit behind that, the original idea was, you know, this 1930s cartoon, and everybody was like, "Whoa, look at that!" And then, you know, there's all these other games coming out that they have so many different ideas. Like a few days ago, I talked about a game about a blind girl, for example.
Yeah.
Like there's all these different ideas out there, and people, or even about mental illness. Hellblade has a bit about that. There's another one in an Italian mental hospital about mental illness. Some of them are dark, some of them are very happy, but it's just, you're not going to find some of these experiences elsewhere, and that's where you find these AA games, these smaller studios that do that. So I think that there will always be a need for these kinds of studios that produce these games.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And if you think about the talent pool, a lot of the recent talent has come from, you know, studios like a Ninja Theory, you know, small studio, or, you know, 100 people or less size studio, and they're making these. And then once again, like you said, it really boils down to those studios make games that take risk. You know, they take a lot of risk making those games. They do a lot of things that obviously bigger studios won't do. And a lot of the huge studios draw a lot of their talent from those types of, you know, smaller studios. They'll reach down and say, hey, you know, we want you to come up here with us, and different things like that. So a lot of the talent is drawn from that, you know, AA indie area. So cool. So last thing I like to do on the show sometimes, I like to just leave it up to the chat to just throw in a couple questions. If you guys have any questions in the chat, let us know. We will answer them as they come in the chat. So once again, subscribe if you have not already. So let's see if we got any questions in here. Shout out to Daz doing this moderator thing once again. Daz, stay showing love, man. But anybody in the chat, let us know. But anybody else here in the panel, you guys got any things that came up this week that you guys wanted to talk about this last 10 minutes or so that we could talk about before we get any questions from the chat?
The only thing that came to mind that was something I talked about on Twitter. I guess somebody brought up that racing games are a bit of a niche, which.
Oh, that was a good.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
The only reason why I jumped in it is because I always looked at, racing games as being like one of the original pillars of video games, like, pole position, outrun, things like that way back when. And everybody's like, well, we're only talking about Forza and GT, and that should be the definition of niche because there aren't that many games. And it's like, if you're not really a racing fan, you're not seeing like the, 16 different titles as far as whether it's motorcycles or off-road racing, boat racing, jet ski racing, and regular auto racing like Setta Corsa and Crew and stuff like that. But like I'm not big into platformers, but I can't really think of as many platformers as I can racing games. Like I know there's a good bit of them, like obviously Cuphead, the Mario game that's on Switch. You got Ori, you got Crash, you got Sonic, and quite a few others, but it's like
Ukulele, yeah, that's another one.
Too far in between.
It seems like first-person shooters have kind of become, I guess, not the end-all, be-all, but they are like the kings right now as far as the category for gaming. But racing, I would say, is a bit bigger than niche than what I guess some people may view it as. But that me being a racing fan, I guess I might have rose-colored glasses on for that. So
you could say it, Fuzzy. It rubbed you the wrong way. It sure as hell rubbed me the wrong way. I hated that fucking tweet. That was stupid. Because I mean, by that same logic, then God of War is niche.
Yeah.
How many of those hack and slash do we have recently? So I hate that term because it's like, okay, that's not your forte. Don't throw shade at another. You know what I mean? Because there's people that only play racing games. There's people that only play Fortnite. You know what I mean?
That's a goddamn truth.
So, like, to me, it's stupid when people start segregating games. Like, a game is a fucking game. If you enjoy it or somebody generally likes it, that's all that matters. So I saw the fallout, Fuzzy. I was there. I made my comment. It was stupid. To me, those type of comments are stupid because it's like, okay, well, for that matter, then God of War is fucking niche.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is niche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, that's ignorance. I hate that. Like that was stupid. I'm sorry.
Well, that niche word gets thrown around quite a bit.
I know
quite a bit. Yeah. When it comes to, especially when it comes to games, depending on what you're talking about, man. That niche word. I would definitely not say racing is niche. I mean, you don't get a ton of racing games. You do get some games that hit a lot of different racing areas. Like you said, you get your Horizons that are more open world. You get your simulation, like the Forzas, the Gran Turismos. Then you get your Crews. Your Need for Speeds are more arcadey. You get the Corsas, which are more, I guess, simulation. I'd say simulation too. It's like, what's that, F1? Is that F1?
Well,
Corsa?
People are willingly ignorant on the subject, just on the genres themselves, to be honest with you, because they're only focusing on what's big in the media, what's big from the and it's so true. Like no, it's so easy. Like again, people would say, oh, like RTS games niche or JRPGs niche, but if you look at, like, for example, RTS games, there's a whole bunch of them coming out right now. It just people can only probably name a handful of them, right? And then you look at I don't know, like JRPGs. I'll admit I'm a little ignorant, not willingly, but like I know of a few of them, but I know that there's a ton out there.
It's an acquired taste, unfortunately. I mean, it is what it is.
No, and they might not be for me. That's the thing. But I understand the people who like them, and I can appreciate some art styles and so on and so forth. But the point being is, you're a little ignorant and a little blind when you say something like that, especially about something like racing games. Those are just kind of like a tent pole in gaming nowadays. Actually, they've always kind of been.
Yeah, we get a feeling
when you think about it.
They never went away. It's just and that's why I was so perturbed. And I saw the again. I was there in the whole thread, and I made my comment. But like, to me, that was so ignorant because, like, wait a minute, wait a minute, that's because that's not your cup of tea. Doesn't mean that's a niche. Like, to me, the word niche, like, that's almost like insulting that particular style of games. Because, like, for example, Invader, you're playing that Deliverance, right? That game.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah, bless your heart. I can never get into that fucking game. I can't. Like, that looks like, to me, it looks like work. But I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit. Oh, that game is niche because only a certain people. The game sold millions of copies, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why I was so annoyed. And again, like Fuzzy, I love racing games. That's my shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna even compete or talk to you about suspensions and this and that. I'm the Ricky Bobby of it. I just like driving the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fun.
I'm
So-
coming to get you, Ricky Bobby.
You know what I mean? That shit to me is ignorant because there's so many different. I like the diversity. I just don't want to. If you look at my library games, I will go from. Remember that game, Catherine?
Yeah.
The 360.
Yeah.
Tell me that shit is not one of the weirdest games in the fucking world.
Well,
But
I've seen a few videos, and yeah, it's definitely it's weird.
It is, dude. I loved it.
Yeah.
I would have never thought in a million years that I could not explain it to any of my friends. But I love the fucking game. But the game is fucking crazy. You know, I'm not gonna say, oh, it's niche, only a certain type of. But no, man, it's a game. Try it out if you like it.
To be fair,
move on.
I do know that game's like, again, I've watched a few videos of it, and it gives you a very interesting like position to be in that game. You know, it puts you in a very interesting spot. So I understand. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And I love the game. Like, I will recommend it to anybody, but it's hard for me to sell it because if I start giving people details, like, dude, the fuck are you playing? But anyway, enough ranting. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. No, I'm just like I said before, man. Chad, if you guys have any questions, man, that was a great one, by the way. I know Fuzzy been waiting to get that off his chest. You've been talking about that since we were playing video game earlier, Darwin's. What's the name of the game?
Darwin Project.
Darwin Project. We were playing it earlier together, and we were talking about that shit. So, but yeah, that's fucking hilarious, man. And thinking about it, I mean, just Forza Horizon is damn near. I mean, it's almost a Game of the Year candidate every time it comes out. The last 2 or 3 Forza Horizons have been like Game of the Year candidates about, you know, in my opinion, especially the last one, the most recent one. That just goes to show. I mean, racing games don't get considered. You know, they usually don't even get consideration for Game of the Year at all. So for that to even be in the running, as being a nomination, as being a serious contender, just goes to show you where that genre's at. You know, at the end of the day. So, anyway, let me see if I can find anything in here. If not, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this bad boy up, man. No, just Daz in there cracking jokes like he usually is. All right, so let's see. No, yeah. So, I wanted to bring one more thing up because we talked about this before we wrap everything up. We talked about this on Boom's podcast, and I kind of brought it up when everybody was talking about Gamescom, which is around the corner, and we got on Fable. So I wanted to get everybody's opinion on. Do you guys really think? You guys, how sure are you guys if that's the game that Playground is working on? Like, what % would you say that you're sure that that's the other game they're working on? So we're gonna start with you, Fuzzy.
I would say it's better than 50%, and the only reason why, and I think Crap may have touched on this on one of his podcasts, where they got the chicken suit as one of the outfits for Forza Horizon, which is something that was like a normal outfit that you could wear in Fable. So it's almost like one of those Easter eggs, and I doubt they're just putting it there to put it there. It's almost like, oh yeah, it's a hint kind of thing.
Did it look exactly like the chicken from the one from?
Not necessarily exactly, but it is the chicken suit. Like, there's no mistake. It's an ode to Fable.
Yeah, chicken and Fable kind of go synonymous with each other.
In a weird way, yeah.
that and fart jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, no, go ahead and continue, Fuzzy. So you said you're about.
I think that was kind of like one of those, like, you know, nudges and winks that, oh yeah, we're working on it, and the fact that they're in the particular area that the Forza Horizon's being done, I have a feeling that some of those assets might be able to carry over. Like, hopefully we'll see, the seasonal changes and things like that in Fable as
I
well.
was thinking about that.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
I was thinking about that. I was thinking,
dude.
get out of my head, Fuzzy. Get out of my head. That's
Me
right
too.
where I was going.
Drool just fell out of my mouth. Holy crap, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm hoping if anybody in the Microsoft First Studio realm is working on, I hope it's them, primarily because of all of those things. So it's I can't say for certainty, but it seems like they are, or at least they're giving little nudges that they are. So
Okay, all right, Vader. What do you think, Vader? You think that's how sure are you? What percent are you sure that that's what they're working on?
Well, I'll step it up a bit. I'll say like 75, 80%. And the reason why I say that is I'll mooch off of Fuzzy a bit, like definitely what he said, but also that comment that Phil Spencer made back at E3. I can't remember if it was after Forza Horizon 4 or after he announced the purchase of Playground Games that he said something about them working on an open world adventure game.
I said that on the podcast on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So it's like, well, they could be working on something new, but he didn't necessarily say something new. He just said an open world adventure game. And I don't know, like everything's pointing at Fable, to be honest with you. Like,
it has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
So,
okay, there is like a small percentage that it could be something new, but it's missing. It's missing in the lineup,
So
Exactly.
wasn't it confirmed that they kept the assets, that those assets didn't go anywhere when they closed Lionhead? They kept the game. Or was it?
I don't think it was confirmed, but there were murmurs. Honestly, anybody with any sense wouldn't get rid of those assets. Those assets were great. I love that graphic style.
Did any of you guys play the Fable Legends
I played it once,
I did.
and I played it for like 30 minutes, and then by the time I got ready to get back to it, it was over. So it was done. So
those graphics were amazing for a preview game, and this is another little thing. I hope Fable stays to look like Fable. I don't want Fable to look like The Witcher. The Witcher is The Witcher. I want Fable to be Fable.
Oh wow, that's crazy because I was thinking about that. I was because that's what you can compare it to. If we get somebody to do it, that's what I would closely relate it to. That it would come out as like its nearest similarity would be like a Witcher type game.
Yeah,
I'll be all for it. I just hope they keep just that graphical, that art style that you could tell, oh, that's a Fable game. Because a lot of people, oh, I want more mature games. Like, for God's sakes, bro, we're grown adults. We're playing video games. Stop with the mature bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, that's so fucking dumb to me.
To be fair, though, like, Fable kind of went all over the place. Like, it could be serious. Like the subject matter in Fable was just
super dark.
Well, yeah, in some areas it was super dark and creepy, but yet it had like that weird British humor
British
to
charm,
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could also be lighthearted, and I don't know. It kind of touched on a lot of different themes.
Well, I'm talking about the graphical style. The theme is, again, it's Fable needs to stay Fable. I just don't like the people that always try, well, it should look like this game. No, if it looked like that game, then it defeats the purpose. Like, I don't want God of War to play like Darksiders. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I hate when people say that. Like, no, I want Fable and those assets from that other game. First of all, for a preview game, those assets were very well developed.
Yeah,
at least
this was pre Xbox One X, like years.
Yes, those things looked amazing. So they kept that, and then like Fuzzy said, they include that seasons. Oh my god. You know what I mean?
But do you guys think there's a chance that they just scrapped it and said we'll start from scratch, our own vision of what we think the game would be?
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Because at the end of the day, if Phil gives them the keys, I'm sure they're gonna go, and that's the best thing he could do, anyways. Yeah. Because when you start meddling in and trying to tell a developer, an artist, I guess, how to do their job, that's when shit goes south. So
for sure.
It's a good possibility, and honestly, if Playground decides to do that, I'm perfectly okay with it. Look at their track record, man. They know what they're doing.
I get the joke. Track record, car game. Anyway, that was cheesy. Yeah. Anyway,
I tried.
Anyway, no. Seriously, you know what the funny thing, when the whole Fable thing kind of kicked up dust as far as like them working on the game, just years ago when it first got scrapped and we were talking about, and I had the train of thought that it was still like around in some way or another, as far as at least in conversation and still alive as far as the idea. I always thought that game. I always thought Rare would be a better like
Me too.
studio to make that kind of a game, just based on the kind of games that they make.
Yeah.
You know, but I understand at this point with Sea of Thieves being and we
Yeah.
talked about it earlier on the show, being a AAA with a long-term budget. Sea of Thieves, I know some people can look at it as a AA technically, but I think it's a AAA with a long-term vision. Essentially, it's not a one and done. You're gonna be playing this 6 months to 8 months and then you're done with it. It's a long 2, 3 year, 4 year vision, you know, of an ever growing game. So, but yeah, I always thought Rare would be a great studio, but I could see Playground doing something phenomenal. And I thought exactly what you guys did as far as the seasons and everything, because I thought how would what Playground does relate to a Fable? How would they be able to translate that into Fable? And I couldn't think of anything but the open world. They're so good at making these huge environments, and there's tons going on. The weather changes, and hell, maybe they can incorporate. Maybe they'll get help from Rare or somebody to help with the story part of it and character building, things like that. Because as far as has Playground made anything other than Forza before?
That's a good point. I never heard of them till Forza Horizon, to be honest with you.
No,
okay,
their staff, I think, worked on like Codemaster games before forming Playground Games and coming out with Forza Horizon.
That's awesome. So they're basically guns for hire, which is amazing. I like the attention. I don't know if you guys watched the last streaming for the Forza Horizon, like the attention to detail. Like they have a guy, they call him the tree guy. Dude, this dude was talking about the technology that apparently they have the tech of different soils throughout the map that determines what the tree is going to look like based on the rain. Like,
wow, what?
Hey, dude, that was my same thought. Like, imagine that shit in an open world RPG.
Who sat in a board meeting and thought of that?
Dude, hey, my man, they call him the Tree Jeff, some shit like that. They were killing him.
But they went and hired him?
Well, no, he's part of the team. But he was explaining how, because they were talking about the mud physics, which is funny because when they were talking about the mud physics with Uncharted, I was rolling my eyes. I was like, fuck the mud. Let's look at the gameplay. But they were talking about the mud deformation in Forza, and this guy was talking that Benny pretty much put him on the spot. And they were talking about how if you go any place on the map, you know how the foliage looks different depending on if this tree's on a hill compared to this thing by the water, and
it's that detailed. They thought it down that. Jesus Christ! So I thought the last game was crazy too. When they did,
I know. So this dude again is boring techie shit, but to me that was amazing because it's like, man, if this motherfucker literally just sat in front of a computer coding. Yeah. Can you imagine what they will do in an open world RPG? That's amazing to me. Like that stuff like that, like that interests me. You know, that was awesome.
That's fucking crazy. Their dedication to that fucking genre in that game was like out of this fucking world. It's insane. So I want to ask one more question before we go ahead and wrap everything up. So we're gonna run a little over. I never ever do this. This is one of the first, Jar, right? I never ever go over, but I'm in a good mood today, so we're gonna go over a little bit over. But I want to ask you guys, and I don't even know if we should end on this shit, but I want to get you guys' opinions. Is anybody buying No Man's Sky for the Xbox?
I'm gonna have to look at the reviews and watch some gameplay before I even consider that. We'll see. I won't say no, but it's not on my to buy list.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's a maybe for me right now. I know a few people have been hoping that it would appear in Game Pass, and I could see that possibly being something in the next 2 or 3 months. But considering it's going to be a full price, I know they're getting a lot of new content, but it's like I don't know. Right now, I'm not feeling that generous, but that might change after about a week or so, and people are like, "Oh yeah, this is like a whole new game with the multiplayer and stuff." I'll probably wind up picking it up, and kicking myself for not picking it up sooner.
Not gonna get that game at no $50.
Jumped in here at the last minute, Forte.
Man. Sorry for the late the late come, man. Today was my daughter's birthday, and
Oh
she had me
shoot!
running all over the place.
Oh, no, you know what?
That's
Don't
what's
even
up.
worry about it, then, brother. You good? I'm shit. You made it for the last goddamn question, brother. You in here for the last question, G. So we gonna throw it to Forte, man. You getting that It's crazy, right? You getting that No Man's Sky?
Not at $60, not at $50. Why would I pay $50 for a game that I can go get on PC right now for like 30 and on PlayStation for 24?
It's not the same game, though, right?
It's
No.
the same. It's the same game. Everybody is getting the update that Xbox is getting on the 24th, but we're paying full price because the game is coming out on our system finally.
Oh wow!
True.
Oh, so the truth comes out, huh? Okay.
So we're paying a premium for a game that's been out for almost 2 years.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, me either.
I'm good.
I didn't realize that. So they're just so wait, the people that bought the game 2 years ago and still may have a copy, they're just gonna get an update?
They're just gonna get a free update.
Yeah, that is on the PS4 and PC is a free update.
Wow. Wait a second here.
I mean,
like I was excited to play because I never did jump into it, and when I heard how bad it was, it just encouraged me not to buy it. And all of these updates, especially with the last one they did, which was the Foundation update, that was a really good update. And then this one looks really good, but not at $50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a wait and see for me. But like Fuzzy said, man, this game would actually benefit to go into Game Pass. And I don't see why. They should. I would if I was the developer. Like, hey, let's go to Game Pass and sell this fucker. Yeah. You know, more options.
Look, man, Sean Murray should have just accepted it and said, hey, I'll put it in Game Pass, break me off, whatever you're going to break me off. At least I have really good engagement numbers for the first month the game is out.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And low key, what happened? Because they went fucking full Osama and just went and hid somewhere for like a year and a half. Like they literally went to a cave.
Well, let's put it like this. Sony and I put 50-50 blame. Hello Games is they promised a lot of stuff that they couldn't deliver. Sony didn't help them by marketing the game to like the ends of the hills and shit. And then the thing was, when the game finally did release, Sony was like, "This game ain't getting too much good publicity, so we're gonna let Sean Murray sit in the corner by himself and take all this heat for himself."
I remember that. They kind of disowned themselves from the game. They did that.
Sony didn't even acknowledge that game once it came out. They was like, "No, we're staying away from this one."
Wow. After they send that man to Jimmy Fallon and everything, like they did. They were promoting the fuck out of that game. They fucked over him. It was messed up how people were fucking with him, and good for them for going underground and actually putting work into the game. You got to give kudos for that because that's their baby, man. And I don't hate on anybody's hard work. At the end of the day, it was a tall order. Yeah, they under-deliver. Sony didn't help the situation because they were marketing that shit like it was God of War.
Yeah,
people forget that.
Yeah,
it got marketed like a full AAA exclusive. Like,
yeah, they were fucking rubbing it in everybody's face, even though Elite Dangerous was already out and doing it way better. But that's just me.
Yeah.
So, but for me, for No Man's Sky is a wait and see. Honestly, I like the fact that it's third person. If Sea of Thieves will do that, give me a third person option. I swear to God, I will only play Sea of Thieves. I love Sea of Thieves. I really do. But sometimes, man, I get dizzy. And I don't get dizzy on the ship. I get dizzy like when I go look at supplies. Oh, my God, I get sick like a dog. That shit needs to have a third-person view, man.
I forgot you had that issue,
Dude, it drives me insane. I can't do it sometimes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'll say this about the whole Hello Games thing, though, and it's latching onto what Jarhead was saying too. Like, these guys, they could have abandoned the game. They could have just laid low and just worked on something else. But I gotta give them credit where credit's due. You know, they were taking death threats and like getting mud flung at them, and so I don't blame them for going on silence. And I'm happy that they were working on the game. They could have just shoved it under the table, no words asked, but they were pumping out little like these content updates, and then they have this one coming out, and then working with Xbox to get the game up there. And yeah, you know, they could have just left it in the state that it was, and obviously they care about their game, so all the power to them. Honestly,
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that, you know, kudos to them for putting in that hard work, and they were under a lot of scrutiny. Now, a lot of it was self-inflicted. Uh, Part of it was self-inflicted. Some of it was, you know, just some BS. You know how we get into fanboy stuff and, you know, mud slung back and forth. So a lot of it's that too, but a lot of it was self-inflicted, and you know, they did some things and said some things that they couldn't do, and a lot of people looked really bad. A lot of the people that went out and supported it day one weren't really happy with it, and you don't do that to the consumer. So I'm glad that they've learned their lessons and they've kind of moved on from that and just provided content, even though it was kind of low key. Not, you know, they didn't have a lot of engagement where a lot of people weren't playing that. So the fact that they're putting out this update has built up a little bit more momentum. Not a lot of people are getting back into it, considering buying it for the Xbox with the enhancements. Like he said, it's really an update for if you have it already on PC and PlayStation and you're buying it full retail, the full actual version. It's almost like buying the people that had Destiny day one and then the people that went out and bought Destiny 1 like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same situation where you're getting a completely different, you're getting the finished product. Destiny Vanilla was like a long ass beta. Until the Taken King came out. Until the Taken King came out, that's when it became a game.
Yeah, but the only difference in that was Destiny was $120 game over the course by the time they released that second version of the game for $60. You're actually paying for the same game that another person paid. Granted, they probably paid $50 or $60 for it, but that was 2 years ago. And I don't have a problem with people spending. If you want to play the game and buy it and pay $50, more power to you. It does show that. I mean, the one thing I do think is it really shows that they had a lot of faith in their game, and it's going to help them in the next game they build, that people know that faith is going to be there, that they're going to put the hard work in. Just think about where Division is now compared to where it used to be.
A
lot of people,
exactly.
A lot of people ripped Division off, and now Division 2 is on the horizon, and there's a lot of hype for that game. But if they would have never went back and put that hard work into the first one, people will be like, why am I going to buy Division 2?
No, good point. Good point. So, Division was a game. I mean, I stood in line for Division. That was one of my last midnight. Like, I think Division was a midnight release or something like that. It was an early, maybe not midnight release, but like a 9 o'clock release or something like that. They had an actual like line for it. So I actually went out and bought that bitch and stood in line for it. And I remember after the first like 2 months, it wasn't really what everybody thought it was going to be. So the fact that they put in that work has led to the fact that Division 2 is going to be that much of a better game for it. And people are actually looking forward to it. So I feel like I need to ask one more thing before we go, because I know Forte just got in here. And I think I'm going to run one thing by him that I asked you earlier. So I wanted to get your opinion, Forte, on Satya Nadella doubling down on Xbox. I want to know what you think about that.
I think he's always wanted to double down, but with the way the leadership was structured before, with Terry Myerson being over the Xbox division and plus over Windows and everything, I think it was just too many. It was too much money coming from one division. Once they separated those two, he can really focus on the part of the division he wanted to. I think Windows needs to be what Windows is when it comes to the online app store and everything. And I think the Xbox brand needs to be what it is. And now they're starting to see that, hey, we have a golden goose here. Some people just keep forgetting that Microsoft makes more revenue just off Xbox Live than anything.
Yeah.
And the fact that is across PC, Xbox, and mobile is one of the biggest things that they need to make sure they hold on to. With the Play Anywhere feature, even knowing some people may not like the fact that Xbox games go on PC, I still think it's just mind share that they're looking forward to. And that's just another part of why they're doubling down on that. And the fact that the boss comes out and says that means that the checkbook is wide open. It's just like when Steve Ballmer was there. And I don't know if any of you guys remember when they were actually pitching the original Xbox idea to Steve Ballmer during that time, and with Bill Gates and everything, they were actually talking about like how like the color of the system and everything, how much money would go into it, and Steve Ballmer just opened up the checkbook, said he'll
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're getting back to. And if we can get back to like a lot of second party support being on the new system when it finally does release, because I don't think anything is going to happen this generation. I think this generation's a wash, unfortunately. We're all looking forward to what's going to happen in the next one. And I think next year at E3 is going to tell, and I hate that thing when people say wait till next year at E3, but honestly, that's where we are as Xbox fans, waiting till the next thing happens. And if they can double down on the promises, like they said, when Phil said, hey, my goals is to fix the service, which was Xbox Live. My next goal was to fix the hardware that we messed up in 2013. That's how we got the Xbox One S and we got the X. And he also made that promise 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Now we're going to work on the games. And we saw those 5 studios they bought. They're rumoring that they're going to announce another studio probably at Gamescom this year. And I think they're just going to keep knocking them out of the park when it comes to that. And then we're going to have a suite of studios that's going to be able to bring us AAA quality games that we don't even know. We don't even know the extent of what they're going to do.
So who do you think that studio is?
Man, there's a couple out there that I really have an eye on. Most of them really like to stay. They want to stay. What's the word?
Independent.
They want to stay independent, but I think. Well, you have to think, what games does Microsoft? What does Microsoft really need? They need an action adventure game. They really need one of those.
If I can sneak in here, there's one studio that I do know of that they are interested in being bought, and they've worked out their relationship with Microsoft, and that would be Obsidian Games.
What?
Oh,
they
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
You can search it online. They are interested in being bought. They didn't say Microsoft, but they worked on their relationship with Microsoft over the past couple of years because they were working on some kind of an RPG for the launch period of the Xbox One.
Oh yeah.
But that got canceled for whatever reason. I don't know why. But they've slowly patched things up from what I remember. There have been articles about it, and they are open to the idea of being acquired. Now, whether, they're mainly an RPG adventure studio. I think they did Fallout New Vegas as well as a few others. But they, like, if it was me, I would totally grab them if I was Microsoft. To me, it would be a really good fit.
They have a good pedigree too, so they got the experience.
I think one of the good studios you could buy is 4A Games. They make the Metro series. Now they don't own the Metroid franchise, but that's owned by D Silver because it got bought out from THQ. But they do own the Stalker franchise, which Stalker pretty much is the same thing as Metro. It's just in a different universe. And I think with the atmosphere that they build in those Metro games and the way that the mechanics work in them, and especially with the new one going open world kind of, I think with that type of storytelling, that's another instance they can go to. I just think they just need to add a little bit more depth to their portfolio when it comes to just getting out of the whole Forza Halo Gears formula. I think that they really need to fix their partnership that they had with Remedy and figure out what they can do to actually bring them back into the fold, because there's no reason that studio shouldn't be, they've been making games pretty much exclusively for Xbox ever since, the system's been out.
Yeah.
Why are we discounting them now?
See, on that note, I don't think they are. I think it's a Sam Lake issue because unfortunately, I love Remedy, and I agree with you. Remedy should have been one of the original ones, but Sam Lake, he tries to act like he's the European Kojima. Sometimes his head is too far up his own ass. With this whole I'm an artist, I'm gonna go into the woods and write stories bullshit. I mean, that's fine and dandy. I love his games, but I think that's not a Microsoft issue because Microsoft dumped a lot of money into
Quantum Break.
Yeah, and people want to act like, oh, Microsoft killed it. No, Microsoft was fully behind that game, and I don't believe the rumors that they don't want to make it. I think that was just Remedy trying to stir the pot, and I'm with you. I would love to see Remedy part of that because it fits. It only fits. They've only,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah, Remedy.
Yeah.
it would be awesome. I mean, Sam Lake, again, I know the comments that I just made, but that's the truth. Sometimes I see him like, dude, get off that. You're not Picasso. Like, chill your fuck out.
Right.
But they are a talented studio, and I love their games, you know, from back in the PS2 days. So that'll be a good acquisition, too. But
Yeah, no,
that'll be good.
no, for sure. No, I 100% agree with that. Remedy feels like it just fits naturally. You know, it just feels like it fits. So I mean, I don't know. I just think that company makes sense. And it's just I don't know. I don't know. So just moving forward, guys. I think that's going to be the last thing that we go over today. For the most part, guys. So whoever's here in the chat, guys, thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you guys so much for everything you guys do. All right, so I gotta. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up because I gotta get down to the pool here. But I'm gonna let everybody on the panel speak, so that way you guys can get what you need to get out. So go ahead and start with you, Fuzzy. Let everybody know where you're gonna be at. Let everybody know what's going on with you.
Fuzzy Belvedere on Twitter, Xbox Live, and Fuzzy_Belvedere on PSN. You usually find me playing Forza or just about any game on Xbox Live. Yeah. Thanks for having me on here.
All right, brother.
Good doing a chat with Invader and Gaming Forte. Welcome aboard. Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, and shout yourself out, Gaming Forte.
Yo, well, like I said, appreciate the invite earlier today. If the invitation is open next week, I could definitely make it because I'm usually off Saturday night, so I can always make it at 8 o'clock if that invitation is always there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Appreciate that, and then it's your boy Gaming Forte. You can meet me over on not Facebook. Jesus Christ, I've been on Facebook too much today. That's what happens when you take pictures. When it's birthday day, you got to upload a bunch of pictures to Facebook. So you can see me over on Twitter, gaming_Forte, YouTube at Gaming Forte, and always on Destiny, Mr. Love-Hate relationship with that game. So if you want to play with me, hit me up on my gamer tag. It's all in the description of my video. So thanks for the invite, though.
All right, go ahead, Invader. Then we're gonna get to you, Jar, and I'm gonna wrap this thing up. So y'all just go down the line real quick, okay?
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks, Blam, for having me on. You know, I really appreciate.
Oh, no problem, man.
Yeah. And hey, Fuzzy, Jarhead, Gaming Forte. It's been a blast. You know, it's been awesome talking games. Thanks for everybody for coming down in the chat. Everybody, you can find me on Mondays on the Game Dosage podcast, as well my own channel, Invader Gaming, and of course Twitter. You can always find me chatting up at Invader_1986. And yeah, it's been a blast, guys.
Thank you for showing up too. So Jar, it's on you, brother.
Same here. You can always find me on Twitter. You know, sometimes ranting, sometimes just joking. Jarhead2001. That's my gamer tag. Just like Fuzzy. If I'm not on Forza, I'm on Onrush or doing. Don't mind my 2-year-old. That's Sugar. Yeah, just hit me up whenever. I'm always down, and it was great to have a great panel today, man. It was one of the best ones yet.
Yeah, for sure, man. And once again, I'm the host with the most, PTK Blam, across everything. Hit me on Twitter, YouTube. Follow the channel here. Subscribe, guys. All of these gentlemen, go subscribe to their, Twitters. Also, go ahead and follow them there too. Subscribe to their YouTube channels. It's been great having everybody on the show. You guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Love you guys. We will be back with another new set of panel members. Maybe even these guys here, if they'll be okay to come back on next week, and we'll get it in with some more gaming news. So you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take it easy. We are out of here. Peace out, everybody.
Later.